So the last few weeks we have been working on the template for the flooring of the van. It has been a very long and extensive process where we had to figure out where we were going to start the carpet and where we were going to end it, and split it up into 12-inch sections, and then delegate those sections to groups, and then those groups would delegate it to certain people in their group. So basically, there have been many different trials of dimensions and sketches that we have gone through. So up here is the initial sketch and the dimensions of the van, which we did on October 10th, 2021. Here we notice that when adding up all of the values on the left side, they did not equal 146 inches, which is how we figured out that something was wrong. Also, since multiple people were measuring and comparing the measurements, some people had different values than others. I first sketched down the design with my dimensions in inches in my engineering notebook. At this time, I had no experience using a CAD program, so I did it on an editing software in which the result was messy, unclear, and hard to read. From that point, I decided to ask someone to help me and teach me how to use Autodesk Inventor or Tinkercad or any CAD program so that I can accomplish and complete a clean and easy to read template. Up here is the template that I created on the editing software. After doing the first sketch, as a class, we noticed that some of the dimensions didn't add up and it was pretty uneven. After this discovery, we decided to remeasure the van, in which we got new dimensions, but still some things looked off. This is also where we noticed that the wheel wells were not the same size and that the front doors were also different dimensions. Also, most of our dimensions were incorrect, so this was a necessary step. This time around, we had one group write down the measurements they got and then have another group do the same thing and compare their measurements to make sure that they were the same or similar. After learning how to use Autodesk Inventor, I realized that it is more practical to design the template first in this platform than sketch it after it is completed. It is much easier to change dimensions and lines on Autodesk Inventor than it is in an engineering notebook. After completing this, it was now time to work on the cardboard template for the carpets. After taking the previous dimensions, we carved out a rectangle in the middle, which would be easy to measure, and we left the sides because we needed to get exact measurements of the curves and divots. We also realized that we did not have to include the center console because we will not be adding anything there yet. We then divided them into 12-inch increments after we labeled them using a letter. Because we noticed that some pieces would be more accessible, we decided to make it fair and draw sticks. We took popsicle sticks and wrote a letter A through E on each one. Then one member from each group, 1 through 5, picked a popsicle stick, and whichever letter they drew was the section that their group was responsible for. My team was delegated to section B, and I was in charge of the middle part of section B. It took a long time to start on the cardboard cutouts because we did not know where each section was, how and where to start, and how long they would have to be. So we decided to place tape on the flooring to act as grid lines, which were 12 inches apart from each other widthwise. Although some people noticed as we were starting to work on it, there was confusion among peers on which bridge to line the template up with, and that the tape was crooked. So after some back and forth, we decided as a class on a ridge that the cardboard should go up to. Due to this change, we decided that it would be best to redo the tape lines to tell everyone where and what they were responsible for. After finding out which part I was assigned, I realized that there was a curve. I've never done a cardboard cutout before, so I had zero clue where to start. I asked some of my other classmates, and they helped explain it to me and showed me how to mark the curve correctly. To make this a more straightforward process, Mr. Hicks taped a marker on a ruler so that all you had to do was take a piece of scrap cardboard, place it down on the floor, and place the marker on the cardboard while moving the ruler straight along the curve. These worked well, and I cut out a template, then went back to the van multiple times to ensure that it would fit. When it did fit, I cut out 5 more of them and stacked them together, taped them together in order to be 1 inch thick, because that's how thick the real flooring will be. It took about 2 weeks for everyone to measure, cut, recut, tape, and have their pieces fully finished. Right here are my group's pieces. These are the 3 pieces that my group was assigned. The middle one being mine, Eric Sun's being the left one, and Eric Friedman's being the right one. Also, right here is my piece. This was my first attempt at using the marker and ruler contraption. I first did the curve which was on the right side, and it was a straight line on the left side. So when I went to go put it into the van, it did not fit. So I decided to try again using this exact scrap piece, and I flipped it over and drew a different curve utilizing this gadget. That's why it is curved on the left side, because it was a triangle and I had already cut it out. I took this triangle and taped it to another scrap piece of cardboard, which is shown here. Then I took this new piece to the van to see if it would fit, and it did. After this, I took my part and made 5 more of them by tracing it on the cardboard. I then stacked them together and measured the height to make sure that it was 1 inch. In total, I used 6 pieces of cardboard to reach 1 inch. After I taped them together and took them to the van to check one more time to ensure they fit, they did. I was then finished with my part. Here are a few pictures of everyone's templates in the van. Some of our templates were not exactly 12 inches wide. Some were either ideally 12 or 12 and 1/8 or 12 and 1/4. But no matter what, they all fit together snugly. Here are the final carpet flooring sketches. Once again, I did the CAD drawing first, then the sketch in my engineering notebook. In both of them, I only included the work area, which was everything below the bolts of the front seats, but up until the rubber piece in the back. The bottom piece on each side is not 12 inches because that is too much for the space. So on the left side, it was 10.5 inches, and on the right side, it was 10.071 inches. I can't wait to see what we do next with the flooring.